My older brother and I were obsessed with World War II. It all started one night when my mother let us stay up late and watch Where Eagles Dare. Where Eagles Dare, the most amazing movie ever made. Have you seen this movie? It's amazing. It's incredible. It's the best movie ever made. You should watch it. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I mean, you shouldn't watch this. You should watch that. You should turn this off. You should turn this off and watch Where Eagles Dare. You can't really get good clips of it on YouTube, so you'll have to like buy it, but it's worth it. It's like $2.99. It's the best money you'll ever spend because it is a religious experience. It is amazing. It is full of machine guns and grenades and explosions. 2.5 hours of explosions. It's incredible. Every Nazi in the world gets killed like multiple times in this movie. It is the most amazing movie ever. It stars Clint Eastwood and Richard Burton. And this is back when they were both beautiful. Clint Eastwood had that big brown pompadour. You know, as he got older, his hair got like flatter and flatter. But this is when it was beautiful. This huge brown pompadour. And Richard Burton, he has that voice, that beautiful voice. Martha, Martha, Martha. That's actually from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, but it's the same voice. Martha, Martha. And they go behind German lines into the snow country, into the Alps, and they blow up everything, and they kill everybody. Oh, and it's got all these great German actors in it, these beautiful, beautiful actors with these beautiful haircuts, and they've got these beautiful uniforms, and they all talk like this. This is outrageous. They never lose their temper. It's very precise, and they never lose their temper. This is outrageous. And the beautiful uniforms. Oh, those beautiful black Gestapo uniforms with the lightning bolts on them. Oh. And those beautiful, beautiful gray SS uniforms and those beautiful gray wool Wehrmacht uniforms with the brown collars and the red pipe. It's hot, 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 hot. These guys are hot, hot, hot. And this is a problem. This is a problem because what do you do with these World War II movies when the Nazis are the best dressed? I mean, they're the best dressed. I mean, it's like they're the best dressed people in World War II. They're always like really clean and pressed, and everything's like these beautiful, beautiful fabrics, and they're always like really upright and polite, and crisp, and they get angry, but they're always kind of still polite. They're very precise. And my mother raised me to respect people who dressed well. So it was a real problem. Anyway, about halfway through the movie, Clint Eastwood and Richard Burton get into the Nazi uniforms. They actually get into them, and they are hot, hot, hot. And Richard Burton ends up on top of a gondola. Remember, it's the ski country. He ends up on top of a gondola, kicking a Nazi in the face. It is so hot. He's up on top of this gondola. He's actually kicking this Nazi in the face, kicking him in the face. And oh my God, the music's incredible. Oh, let's do the music. We'll do the music together. Okay, so I'm going to do the melody, and you do the snare drums. Snare drums are very important in World War II movies. Why? Because they sound like machine guns. Okay, so every once in a while, you're just going to go, right? Every time I point at you, you're going to go at home, okay? And I'll do the melody. So let's rehearse. I'm going to point at you and do that at home. Okay, here we go. Okay, now just do it on your own. I'm just going to point at you, and you do it on your own. Good. I'm sure that sounded great. Good. I'm sure that sounded great too. So here I go. I'm Leonard Bernstein. I'm conducting this huge orchestra doing the melody. Bum, 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 bada bum. Bum, 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 bada bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bada bum. Now, let's put it all together with Richard Burton on top of the gondola, kicking a Nazi in the face, and you doing the snare drums while I do the melody. Bum, 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 bada bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bada bum. And Richard Burton's kicking this guy in the face. And Clint Eastwood, meanwhile, is shooting everybody. Yep, that's the snare drum. This movie's amazing. It's incredible. And my brother and I, we watched it. It took us 2 nights to watch it because there were all these commercials. This was like the early 70s, and everything was about commercials. It was like they just showed movies to show commercials. So there was like 97,000 commercials. But we loved it. 2 full nights of this stuff. It was like 2 Stations of the Cross. The first 2 Stations of the Cross for us of this religious experience. And it got me thinking, what is this thing called World War II? What is it? It's amazing. It is such an escape. What a great, wonderful, exciting thing. Because my life was very boring. It was very boring. It was so boring. I was growing up in the suburbs. Oh my God, it was so boring. It was so boring. So my parents, they lived in the suburbs in a nice house. right? But they got to go to like cocktail parties and dance and drink and all that stuff. And we were just like stuck in this awful house. It was so boring. But then there was this wonderful thing called World War II. World War II movies, World War II history, World War II everything, World War II music. It was incredible. And it got me thinking, someplace to escape to, World War II. And it also bonded me with my brother. This is very important because my brother and I, this was a bad period for us. He was my older brother. I was like 7. And, my older brother and I did not get along. And I'll tell you why we didn't get along, because something very, very bad had happened. Awful. It was terrible. I call it the potato chip incident. You see, we lived in this huge house. It was huge and had all these beautiful rooms. But, it was a very nice house. And here was the thing. It was one of those houses. You couldn't go in any of the rooms. We had this beautiful living room, but my parents said, don't go in there. The living room is for guests. And there was this beautiful dining room, but my parents said, don't go in there. The dining room is for guests to eat. There was a kitchen. Don't go in the kitchen. The kitchen is where food for guests is prepared. There was even a family room. Don't go in there. That's the family room, but only one night a week, Sunday night, when the family gathers for cocktails. So you couldn't go anywhere. You could go anywhere in this huge house, except upstairs. You could only go upstairs. You could only go into your room and the playroom. But there was a rule about the playroom. No food in the playroom. No food in the playroom. Don't take food in the playroom. So a very bad thing happened. One day, my parents discovered an empty bag of potato chips, discarded bag of potato chips in the playroom. And they were furious. Who ate the potato chips? They called us into the playroom and they questioned us. Whose bag of potato chips is this? Who was eating potato chips in the playroom? Well, it wasn't me. I mean, it was a rule. Don't eat in the playroom. It was like a rule. It was like a rule. I mean, I didn't, if I heard a rule, I obeyed it. Okay? I didn't know you could break a rule. All I knew was a rule was like a rock. I mean, you couldn't do anything with it, right? It was just like a rock. It was an absolute. So I would never break a rule. So it wasn't me, right? So I didn't know what to say. So my argument, my father said, did you eat the potato chips in there? And I said, babe, 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 babe. That's all I said. I went, babe, 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 babe. I didn't know what to say. My brother said, John ate the potato chips. I was like, what? What? First of all, I didn't know you could break a rule. Secondly, somebody was lying. I didn't even know what a lie was. I never even heard a lie before. The concept, it was like I didn't know lies existed. I was devastated. My brother was blaming me for something that I knew I didn't do. I thought, well, this is bad. This is bad. But the problem was, my father was an attorney, and he fell for arguments. He fell for rhetoric. And my brother had rhetoric. He had an argument. I had nothing. All I was saying was, blah, 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 blah. My brother was like saying, well, John ate the potato chips. He had an argument. And my father fell for it. My mother, not so dumb. She was intuitive. She knew about my brother. She knew about my older brother. She was onto him. She knew it was him. But my father wasn't sure. He thought it might be me. So they couldn't decide. So we were both guilty. They made us both guilty, and they punished both of us. We were both grounded. And I was furious. And from that moment forward, my brother and I hated each other. We hated each other. We hated each other. Because I was onto him. I knew he was a liar, and he knew that I was onto him. So we hated each other. From that moment on, we just hit each other. Every time we saw each other, we'd hit each other. We just started hitting each other. Right? And we would bump into each other in the hallway, and we'd just start punching each other. And if we by accident forgot to punch each other and pass each other, we would U-turn and start beating on each other. It was a bad time for us, distrust. But when we watched Where Eagles Dare, we were suddenly rebonded. We suddenly had something we could obsess on together. We could love World War II together. We could talk about World War II. We could pretend we were in World War II. We could live in World War II together. And it brought us back to brotherhood.